In today's lesson, we'll continue working on our task 1 structures, and in today's lesson we'll cover map. And here we have to pay attention to the fact that in map, the structure is totally different from other structures of IELTS Task 1. For example, if in line graphs or graphs and charts we describe with numbers, in map we just have to describe changes in one location, and we have to give the main differences between same place in different periods of time. So let's just start. The basic structure is clearly the same: introduction, summary, and body paragraph. And we're going to start our essay with introduction. And in introduction, as you know, we paraphrase the topic, and the structure of our introduction is the same as it's given. Given is the illustration. So let's just start. And as you see, we wrote given is the illustration which presents data concerning. The structure is basically the same that we use in our other task 1 structures. The only thing that changes is the word illustration, because we are given the picture that we have to describe. And here we have to continue with the changes. And as you see, the topic is shows Paradise Island in the past and at present. So the map is showing the Paradise Island, the picture is showing the Paradise Island in the past and at present. So we have to paraphrase it properly to gain high score from our task achievement, coherence, cohesion, and other lesson resource and grammar range and accuracy scores too. And now let's just look at the basic templates that we have. In map 2, in map also we have basic templates that you can use to save your time and to achieve higher lesson resource and grammar range and accuracy level, which I will give now. And you will have to memorize the structure and use it in your next essays. And this is And as you see, I said the modifications which have taken place in Paradise Island from the past until the present period. And here what you have to pay attention to is this also is this template that you can use in any introduction for a map that you are given. And the structure is the modifications which have taken place in Paradise Island from the past until the present period, and the changes. The thing that we have to change is here we have to pay attention to the tense that we are giving. So here we are saying which happened, which occurred, and which took place. But here, as you see, we use the structure which have taken place, meaning we're using present perfect. And the reason why we use present perfect is because it's connected to present period. So you have to pay attention to the time period when you're describing the map. If it's connected to present period, you have to use present perfect. If it's connected to, if it's connected to present period, you have to use present perfect, present simple structures. If it's connected to like past period, it's just simply past perfect and past simple. And if it's connected to future, you have to use future tenses. And in this part, because it was present, we said which have taken place, which is present perfect. And in this part, so you just basically change the place after the word in. It can be in a village, it can be in a town, it can be the name of the place that you are describing here that you just have to change. And from the past until the present period. So you can just change the structure too. So you just have to basically give the time period that it is covering. So in our case, it was from the past until the present. It can be from 2005 to 2015. It can be anything that you are given. So basically, one sentence is the whole content of our introduction. We just have to paraphrase the topic, and with one sentence we just finish introduction and move on to summary. And in summary, as you know, we have to give two sentences. The first sentence should be general information, and second sentence should be analysis. Now let's just write it together. So as you see, I wrote general information. Actually, we have to give general information, and in general information, we just talk about general changes that happen, and in analysis, we just give something that didn't change. It is our part. It's the part where we have to use our analytical information. So basically, the map is all about changes, movements, modifications, alterations. For example, this changed to this was destroyed, this was built, and this was created. But there's something that is really interesting and something that is really worth noting will be something that did not change at all. So that's why in analysis part, we just give something that didn't change at all. And now let's just start the structures. As you know, we have beginning structures for our both sentences here. So we just start with the first one, which is general information here. And as you see, I wrote overall, what stands out is that. So this is our basic structure for all sentences for the first sentence of general information in summary. We just always start with the structures, and I outlined the reasons in previous lessons. If you haven't watched this video, you have to go back and watch this video to find out the reason why we have to always use this structure. Now, after this structure, we have to give the changes. So when we have to give changes, general changes, we don't talk about details of the changes. For example, if there is some kind of shop being built, or if there is a hotel, if there is a beach, we don't give the exact sentence, or we don't give the exact change. It will be too detailed, and we have to do it in body paragraph. So we cannot give details in summary. So what we have to do is how it has transformed. We have to give the transformation. So I have to give transformation here. I have to write transformation. So meaning that what it was before and what it is now. So how do we start? We say the area and as you see, overall, what stands out is that the area has transformed. So it depends, actually, again, it depends on your time period, has transformed from one place into another place, and it just depends on your situation. But in our situation here, Paradise Island was scientific area, and it turned into a recreational place. In our case, basically what happened was the area was scientific research station area. Only scientific research station was located there before the period, but in the past, but now there are a lot of things, like there's a barbecue area, cafe, open air, restaurant, probably hotel complexes. There are a lot of things. So you just have to look at the purpose of these buildings, and the purpose of this buildings is mostly entertainment purpose. So mostly entertainment purpose for the people who are coming here, visiting here. So we have to write this thing. So we say the area has transformed from science-oriented place where so just have to write it somewhere else, I think. So the area has transformed from a place which was exploited for scientific purposes, so it was scientific research station, into a recreational area for visitors with various entertainment facilities. And here, that's the end of our first sentence, which is general information, general change. And we described the transformations that have taken place. We said overall what stands out is at the beginning of the structure, and we just gave our template the area has transformed from into something. So from a place which was exploited for scientific purposes into a recreational area for visitors with various entertainment facilities that I listed above, which were our barbecue area, cafe, like scientific, um, lookout, the scenic lookout. There are a lot of this kind of places where the people use for entertainment purposes. And the next sentence should be analysis, which will give no changes here. And how do we start a sentence? Yes, so it is the second sentence of ours. So I would just love to just point it, but I cannot. It will mess up the middle of this. Will mess up the text itself. So we'll write another feature, which is worth mentioning. So we say another feature which is worth mentioning may be that, and then you just give the changes. No changes here. So here in our case, no change was in only rocks and a natural spring. So we just say so as you see, I said another feature which is worth mentioning may be that this is the beginning of our structure, and you just write here the thing that didn't change. So only rocks and a natural spring here in my case. And the reason why I used present perfect was it's connected to the present period again. And I just said haven't undergone any major alterations. So this is actually a template that you can use for for your own map too. For example, imagine you're describing a city and there were like a school and a library that didn't change. You can just simply say only library and a school haven't undergone or didn't undergo, or if it's future, will not undergo any modifications, any major alterations. You can just simply copy the structure to save your time and to expand your energy on more important points that you have to give on your own. Now, let's move on to the next part of our essay, which is body paragraph. Imagine you have here different structures, different systems that you can utilize to describe your body paragraph, and they are totally different from each other. For example, imagine you have this city area that you have to describe. Two different city areas that you have to describe. So it is, for example, 2010 and this is 2020. So how you should approach this problem? So your first choice is you can make this body paragraph 1. You can make this body paragraph 2. In body paragraph 1, you can talk about everything in the first map. In body paragraph 2, you can talk about everything in the second map. And here, what you have to pay attention to is, if you do this, if you utilize this structure, there's not going to be connection or coherence between parts of it. So you're not going to get high score from coherence cohesion. So what you have to do is, you have to try to give changes close to each other. You have to just make comparison in one part. And the way to do this is, you can divide the map into parts depending on the shape, depending on the the level of efficiency. For example, here is this kind of situation. Imagine there is a road here. Like there are buildings and there's a road in our town, little town. So it will make it perfectly possible for me to divide this map into two parts, which is northern area, southern area, northern area, southern area, or above the road, below the road, or in the northern side of the road, in the southern side of the road. So which will give me a chance to describe them as body paragraphs. It's BP1 and this is BP1, which I say this was there and this changed into this one. So I'll just give everything together in one part, changes in one part of the map only. So it will be body paragraph 2. It will be also body paragraph 2. And in our situation, in this Paradise Island, the situation a bit different. So the island is like this shape, and we have to describe it. And my decision would be here to divide it into 2 parts, or if I want, into 3 parts in this way, so that I will just be able to write left, center, and right, or west, center, and east. Or like so, we have 2 different choices here. I think it would be better if we do the first one, which is dividing them into western and eastern side, or the left and right sides from the middle. So that's how we're gonna write. Actually, we could just give every single change in one body paragraph. It would be too big of a body paragraph. It would be too hard to absorb information. It would be too difficult to explain this part. That's why one of the best strategies is to divide the map and give the points, explain the parts in separate parts, separate body paragraphs. Now let's continue our essay with body paragraphs, and as we talked about it, body paragraphs will be divided, and we will divide the map and we will just give them in separate body paragraphs. In this part, in our today's essay, in our today's map, we have Paradise Island. So I decided to divide this Paradise Island into the western and eastern part. So I'm just going to start with the western part. I'm just going to continue describing this part. So I'm just going to start with the western part. As you know, we have beginning structures. We have worked on this like a lot of times previously in previous essays, previous lessons. So I'm just going to write one of them. I'm not going to present you all of them. I'm just going to name them, but I'm not going to write them. So they are regarding, concerning, as regards, with respect to, and with regards to also. Let's just write it. It's okay. Let's just write it. So here we're writing body paragraph, and in body paragraph, as you are seeing, we are using systemizing, because we're systemizing depending on according to their location, systemizing. And we can group actually, because we can give 2 different or 3 different changes in one sentence. So this will be grouping part of our essay. And in addition to this, it's obvious that we are comparing everything here. So we're comparing, and they will give us higher task achievement score here. So we start the essay with saying regarding, as regard, with respect to. I'll just write this word here, regarding. So we use the structures, as you know, like it's like third time that I'm explaining it to you. Regarding, concerning, as regards, with respect to, with regards to, and we just continue. So here, what we have to write is the location of the map, or the part of the map that we want to describe, which is the western part, right? The western part of the island. So regarding the western part of the island, so this is our body paragraph. Here we're going to only talk about the western part of the island, and then we're going to move on to the eastern part when we are done with the western part. And when you're describing them, pay attention. You cannot just jump from one area to another area. You have to just describe them one by one in order. So as you see there in the western front, in the far western front, we have a beach. Right in the northwestern frontier, or the lake with the sea, there was a beach. So as you see, I wrote, in the northwestern frontier, bordered with the sea, there was a beach. So this was my location. I give the location at the beginning. As you see, you have to give the location at the beginning mostly, and you just give what there. So there was a beach. I just simply wrote it. And here we use the structure, which is participle clause. It was actually which was bordered, if you want to use which was bordered, if you want to use a relative clause. But participle clause is more advanced, so that's why we said bordered with the sea, more advanced structure, and you just get higher score for this participle clause. And after this, what you have to do is you have to continue your essay. But how do you continue? But now, so after giving this, you have to give the current situation of the area, current situation, what is happening here in current situation. As you see, there's swimming, it's written swimming permitted, right? So we just have to write it. So how do we continue? We can say after modifications. After modifications. So I said after modifications, a swimming area has been established there. So we can say after modifications, or if you want to say during modifications. So as I said, after or during modifications, a swimming area has been established there. As you see, I didn't use the words that they said, which was like swimming permitted. I just said swimming area has been established there. So after this, we just move on to the next part. In the south, like in the south, there is a pier now with a boat, right? So we'll have to describe it now. So we just use the words of position to transition from one part to another part. So we say below it. So I said below it, there used to be a pier with a boat in the sea near it. So, and then we have to change this words. We have to give what is there now instead of them. So we just use nowadays or currently the pier, because we talked about this place. Pier, I think I'm misspelling it. So it's pier with P-E-I-R probably. So let's just check. So yeah, it's clear. It's P-E-E-R, P-E-I-R. So I'm just gonna correct it. I made a mistake, so it happens. So pier currently is a pier. Yes, it expanded along with. So as you see, we can add one point, but it's quite risky. So there is written currently the pier is expanded along with newly introduced cruise ship in the place of the boat. So I'm saying currently. So I'm just transitioning to now and using the word currently. The pier is expanded, passive voice. I said, as you see, the reason, like, because of using currently, because of showing that it's present time, I use present situation, present simple. It's expanded. So along with means and. So and I'm just saying as well as, or I'm just adding something else. Newly introduced cruise ship in the place of the boat or instead of the boat. Let's just write instead also. Instead of the boat. So the reason why we are saying the is here because we already talked about them in the previous sentence. So it's defining article. The reason why we're using defining article is because we already know what we are talking about. Here we could simply add one more point, but it will be too speculative, because we can say boat was used to carry around scientists, but cruise ship is used to carry visitors, but it's just too highly speculative thing. So that's why I just don't write it, but I hope you understood what I'm talking about and what I'm trying to convey you in this part. So now after finishing to talk about swimming area and this pier, we have to move on to the next part. The next detail of this body paragraph, on the left side of it, next to it, maybe we say next to the pier. We can simply say, let's just write next to the pier. So the reason why I wrote it, I just wanted you to see the transition. We are using the structure next to and noun to move from one place or one thing to another thing. So we can just simply say following next, but using prepositions of place to move to one point to another thing, to transition from one thing to another thing, is more efficient way of, a more professional way of giving map body paragraph or giving details in task 1 map. So after this, next to the peer, we say there was a scientific research station with trees. So we say there was, or there used to be. Let's just use the structure used to one more time. There used to be a scientific. As you see, there, I said there used to be, which is good structure, scientific research station with some trees, and I just don't want to stop the sentence here. I just want to use relative clause and continue this sentence by giving the situation now there. So I will just write hotel complex and like swimming pool there. So I just say which have been, so with some trees. So I'll write which has, because we're talking about scientific research station which has As you see, I just gave a more complex structure using a relative clause here, which has been removed in order to, so we can say so as to, it's also a better version of, in order to construct a 4-section hotel. So in this part, what you have to pay attention to is I added 4 sections from myself, because this hotel is divided into 4 parts. And it's also a detail, and they just gave it for a reason. So you have to introduce it to get more like the points for your task achievement. So there are intricate details. There are details that some people may miss. So in order to get higher score, you have to give as much like precise detail as possible. So you have to give more details. You have to give rare details that most people may miss there. So that's why I said a 4-section hotel complex. So there's swimming pool. Most people just may write swimming pool, but I just gave the shape of the swimming pool too. So in order to get higher task achievement score, which I said a circle shaped swimming pool above it. And here, as it's the end of our western part of the island. So if we talk about the next thing, it will be in the eastern part. It will be located in the eastern part of the islands. That's why we just finished our first body paragraph here, and in the next part of the video we just describe our second body paragraph. So in the next part of our body paragraph, in the next second body paragraph, I'm not going to introduce such details, and I'm just going to write the essay as it will be seen and as it should be on your writing paper, and you will have a look at the precise way or precise structure, the precise look of the essay that is supposed to, the body paragraph which is supposed to look like in the next part of the video. Now let's continue with the second part of our second body paragraph of our body paragraph section. And here what we have to do is we have to continue describing the description of our eastern part of the island. So what we have to do is we have to give some kind of starting structure. Let's just simply say as regards to this part, as regards. So I said as regards the eastern areas of the island. So there, close to the center, we have a round restaurant, open a restaurant or open restaurant. So let me just check. It's open restaurant, round shaped or circle shaped open restaurant close to the center. So we just write. So there used to be trees, right? Before, so we have to transition. We just have to start with past or first period, and we have to transition to the present period. So we say in the past. So as you see, I wrote, as regards the eastern areas of the island. So as regards was the structure for introduction. The eastern areas that are eastern areas of the island is a part that we are describing. In the past is the, well, it's just showing the time. And here I had to add more details, but I forgot to add the thing. And the thing details that I want to add is close to the middle. I just want to write close to the middle. Here. Close to the center, let's say. Close to the center. There used to be trees. So I just missed the letter S here. Trees, which are relative close again, and now, which are now cut down so as to use good structure, which I described it in the last part of our body paragraph 1. To make room for an open restaurant. So it's an idiom, to make room for something. So it can be a bit informal, so I just hesitated to use it, but to illustrate the point, to make you understand the point, I just had to use this thing. For an open restaurant, so I also missed add T here. So I want to add one point. As you see, everyone makes mistake when they're writing, everyone is rushing, everyone is thinking, so you cannot control every single aspect of your essay. So you are guaranteed to make mistakes. And how do you avoid these mistakes? And how do you make sure that these mistakes will not affect your score negatively? And the only way to guarantee that you will not get a reduced band score, or you will not get a low band score because of this mistake, just checking your essay after finishing. As you see, I'm reading and I'm checking my essays. I'm finding, like, I found already 3 mistakes here. So the only thing that you can get, if you get from this video lesson, is always check your essays for grammar, for logic, for other details, in order to make sure that you don't have any problems and to increase your overall performance. And here we say restaurant, which is connected to, so I'm just using again relative clause and passive voice, which is connected to the hotel complex with F past. So it seems to be a small detail, but you have to add this detail to get higher than the human score. So we just said it's connected to the thing. Let's just say now, in the northwestern part, there was a natural, to the northwest of it, let's just simply say there was a natural spring, right? So let's just continue it. Let's just say to the northeast of trees. So we'll just add with this structure to the northeast of these trees. So the trees that I mentioned in the previous sentence, there used to be, or there was, so I said there was a natural spring which has not been altered relative clause again. So which has not been answered. I just thought about it. So should I use modified or change it? So we don't know, like change is a simple word. So I just wanted to use altered. So natural spring was not altered. They didn't touch this place and they didn't change this place. But below it, they built a cafe and barbecue area, as you see. So we have to include this part, and we just say nowadays or after constructions, or let's just simply nowadays. As you see, I wrote nowadays below it, or to the south of it, there are a cafe and a barbecue area. So now one of the last details and changes that we have to give is rocks and a scenic lookout near it. So we just have to say, I'll just say in the north. On the northeastern shores of the island, so I said on the northeastern shores of the island, there were rocks which has. So I made a mistake again. So be careful. So you have to check your essay after finishing it, which have stayed mainly untouched. And I just want to give scenic lookout there. However, so I said, however, to the left of them, an area for a scenic lookout has been introduced. This part was interesting part. However, so to add the sentences and to give contrast between no change and change, and to the left of them, it's just a location to show where exactly is this a place or an area for a scenic lookout has been introduced. So then we just have to give our last change, which is a cycle path. So we just say final. So as you see, I said finally the last alteration. So I'm just saying the last one, it was the last one of the island has been in the establishment of a cycle path along the borders. I just said in the borders, but it's not so in the borders. It's along the borders. Along the borders. So I just made a mistake again. So it's just like fifth mistake that I have made in this video. So you have to be careful too. So you have to check your essays in order to make sure that you don't have mistakes that you unconsciously made. So borders of unintentionally made, let's say the borders of the island with the sea. Well, that's the end of our second body paragraph 2, and that's practically the end of our map description. So that's the end of our lesson. See you in the next lessons. If you have any questions regarding this essay, you can leave it in comments, or you can just approach me directly or your own teacher.